The Netflix documentary Tinder Swindler has taken the world by storm as Netflix's latest big documentary. It details the story and victims of Simon Leviev, aka the Tinder Swindler, the con man who tricked a bunch of women into giving him their money on the popular dating site Tinder. And if you thought that's where the story ended, do we have a treat for you? The women conned by Netflix's Tinder Swindler have decided to fight back, it seems. And here's how they're doing it. If you've watched the documentary, you're aware that Simon Leviev tricked the women he met on the dating app into giving him money. You might have also noted that 3 faces out of the many make frequent appearances in the documentary: Cecily Felhoy, Pernia Yohom, and Aileen Charlotte. Turns out, these 3 women have decided to start a GoFundMe movement to raise the money they presumably lost to the swindler. According to statistics mentioned in the Netflix documentary, Leviev tricked these women and many others into giving him over $10 million via various scams. The online fraud took place somewhere over the course of 2018 and 2019, although this particular case has garnered much outrage, and its viewers and sympathizers from all over the world have expressed their desire to help. The truth is that online scams such as these are very common. In fact, romance scammers, as they've been deemed, stole a recorded $304 million in 2020 alone, which was 50% higher than it was last year. Next, the GoFundMe. Cecily Felhoy, Pernia Yohom, and Aileen Charlotte are all women who were conned by the Tinder Swindler, and after the documentary's release, received widespread sympathy from the general public. And that isn't all. Apparently, the love and support the trio got from people all over the world was part of why they even started the GoFundMe. In the description of their money-raising effort, the 3 women wrote that many people had reached out to them asking if they had a GoFundMe, presumably to help them financially, and that's when they got the idea. They said that the sheer love they received was more than they could have ever hoped for or expected, and they appreciated these people so much. The goal of GoFundMe is to raise a hefty £600,000, according to Yohom. Leviev apparently stole around £50,000 or £60,000 from her. And if you think that's a lot, just keep watching. Yohom now lives with her mother, bankrupt. On the other hand, Feljoy is now left with a debt of over £200,000. As of now, the girls have managed to raise over £56,000, which is about $75,000. For reference, in an Israeli court order for his crimes against the women in 2020, Leviev was ordered to pay his victims about $47,000 combined. Let's look into the Tinder Swindler and his punishment. If you're scandalized by how easily Simon Leviev got away with his crimes, you would not be the only one. As we mentioned, Leviev only got fined about $47,000 by the Israeli court. Besides that, the man did a mere 5 months in prison, and that's it. Leviev now roams as a free man, and that doesn't sit well with many people. He was not the first person to con women out of their money on a dating website, but what makes his crime particularly special was his use of audacious techniques, like claiming to be a chief executive officer of a diamond company in danger from violent enemies. His social media tactics also encapsulate the current high-speed digital age in the way that now it is easier than ever to send large sums of money instantly. Simon Leviev used to go by Shimon Hyatt, and since the expose in the form of the documentary, he's been banned from Tinder forever. But apparently, that is not satisfying enough an end to this story, since the con man still lives a life rife with luxury. He owns a whole private jet and lives with his new girlfriend. But the women are being critiqued. Although opening a GoFundMe to recover the money the women lost would seem to be a logical way to go, considering it allows sympathizers to help them out, all while getting their story out there, but apparently not everyone is on board with the idea. Cecily Felhoy, Pernia Yohom, and Aileen Charlotte's fundraiser have received a ton of support, as is evidenced by the large sum they've managed to raise. But they've also received confounding criticism. Some people think that their creating a GoFundMe is in poor taste, since they must be getting paid for all their appearances on the documentary and in various interviews. And while that makes sense to a degree, other arguments for people opposing this fundraiser are questionable in nature. A few people straight up admitted that they would not trust Cecily Cecily Fjellhoy, Pernia Sjoholm, and Aileen Charlotte with their money, considering that they were scammed at all. Next, Simon Leviev and how he keeps getting away with his crimes. Leviev, or Hyatt, has been more than happy in the past few weeks to just keep jumping from one identity to another in order to keep his scheme going. Hyatt also followed a specific pattern of how to con these women. He would match with a woman, then take her on a fancy, sophisticated, and expensive first date. For example, he took Cecily Fjellhoy on a trip in a private jet, while slowly building his relationship with her. He would obviously be dating multiple women at the same time, but would keep it very hidden. Slowly, after he'd gained enough of their trust, according to the accusers, Hyatt would confide in them. He would tell them that he was worried about a nebulous group of his enemies just around the corner, waiting to strike him. Soon after, he would send the woman a picture of his bodyguard, bleeding and in bad shape, telling them that his enemies got to his bodyguard first, solely to entice concern. After his base foundation had been laid, the real work could begin. That is, telling his girlfriend of the time that his credit card was not working, and because of that, they should open one under their name, since he couldn't use his for security reasons, and that was that. Is Tinder safe for women? One has to wonder after every time these incidents come out, is Tinder really a safe space for women? For you never really know who you can end up matching with. But even so, one notices that people still regularly use the app. The women, often in their early to mid-30s, who could easily be blinded by the idea of marrying a billionaire, were his prime target, which makes sense. The docuseries on Netflix often uses light humor to capture the true absurdity of the story well. After the show's release, many simple-minded individuals rushed to the review section to claim how these women were more gold diggers dying to get money, and what happened to them was in turn justified. But more often than not, the case is different. One of them even mentioned that he would have pictures with animals on his website. She quoted, "A handsome man with a cat? You can't go wrong. Why is it hard to sympathize?" We know that the dating pool for women gets significantly smaller after they start growing older and leaving that specific target age demographic. These women, especially if they display completely natural signs of aging, will have a hard time finding dates, especially on websites like Tinder, which are used by young people and old people wanting to date young people. So imagine the small dating pool when a man claiming and appearing to be a billionaire suddenly enters your life. And from the show, you may have guessed that Leviev's main priority is moving quickly, and that can be a red flag. But it's one many ignore. In fact, some women claimed that they liked how easily this man became comfortable with them and told them personal stories. This woman also claimed that a man like that should be saved. And that's when we realized the problem. Many women of their age may have convinced themselves that Leviev had more to offer than he did. And once you ignore the first red flag, it becomes infinitely easier to ignore the rest. Lastly, the woman who swindled the Tinder Swindler. All that you should know about Aileen Charlotte is available in the docuseries. And if you've seen Tinder Swindler on Netflix, you know just how imperative Charlotte's role in the whole thing was. Leviev was manipulated by Charlotte and later betrayed as she pulled one of his own tricks on himself, rendering him useless. She sold Leviev's designer clothes piece by piece and kept the money. One Twitter user called it her playing chess whilst the Tinder Swindler was playing checkers. And while that does award you with a certain kind of gratification, knowing that he still leads a very comfortable life doesn't exactly bring about high hopes for it at all. And that's all for this video. Thank you for watching. What do you think of the women opening a GoFundMe to recover their money? If you enjoyed watching the video, be sure to leave a like and leave a comment down below. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to get notified every time we post a new video.